Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about my breastfeeding challenges and problems and how I solve those problems, because I love doing these type of videos for you guys where I kind of give you guys some information or give you guys basically some stuff that's going on in my life and how I was able to fix this issue. And I've noticed that a lot of women who have a newborn, they go through this a lot as far as like issues with breastfeeding. And I decided to go ahead and share this video with you guys to give you guys some insight of my whole breastfeeding journey so far since having baby Zara. Before we jump to this video, please click and subscribe down below. Click that red button and subscribe to my channel. Join the family here on Jackie Annette. Also, don't forget to click the bell that's like right across from it to be notified when I post a new video. So like I said in the beginning of the video, this video is about my breastfeeding challenges and how I was able to solve this. Basically some tips on how I was able to solve my issues with breastfeeding with Zara. When I had Zoe, I did breastfeed her, but it was only for a couple of months, maybe like a month. And I kind of gave up because I had to go back to school and it was just hard trying to balance the two. So I did put her on formula, but with Zara, she's fully breastfed, and I'm going to get in the whole story for you guys because I want to share this with you guys because a lot of people go through these issues. So first and foremost, I did lose all my baby weight from Zara my first like 2.5 3 weeks after pregnancy. So I'm back to my formal weight of before I got pregnant with Zara. So I'm really happy that has happened, and breastfeeding has really helped me out with that issue. So Zara was born 6 pounds and 10 ounces. That's how much she weighed. When she left the hospital, she was 6 pounds and 7 ounces, and that was on a Tuesday. She was born on a Sunday, which was June 10th. So that Tuesday we left the hospital, she was 6'7". On Wednesday, she was 6 pounds. I had to take her to the doctor on Wednesday because I noticed that Zara wasn't urinating and pooping like she was supposed to, like a breastfed baby. And I noticed that she wasn't eating as much either, and she was very cranky. So I took her to the doctor, and it turns out that she just wasn't getting enough milk, and I felt like my boobs wasn't producing enough milk, and she was actually just losing too much weight. So because my milk supply hasn't fully came in, I had to sub some formula and breast milk. So that means I fed her 15 minutes on one breast and then 15 minutes on the other, and then I gave her at least 2 ounces of formula, and she wouldn't even drink the full 2 ounces. She would just drink a little bit. And so I did that for 4 days, and her weight came back up. She was fine until my milk supply built up. So ways that I was able to get my milk supply up was I was taking some lactation pills, I was eating the lactation cookies, and I was drinking some lactation tea. So all of these things here is ways that I was able to build up my milk supply and help my milk come in faster. So here's where the issue came in. Once I was taking all these things and I was doing the tea and the cookies at the same time, then I stopped the tea and I was doing the cookies and the pills. And once I ran out of cookies, because I only had 1 bag of the cookies, I just took the pills. And the pills are very, very effective. I like the pills. They were really good, and the cookies are delicious to me. I like the cookies. I didn't have any issues with those. The tea, it has its own flavor. It's acquired taste. You may not like it. Then I had too much milk. That means I was producing too much milk too fast, too often, and it was causing my boobs to be really engorged, and it caused me to have too much milk. So that was another issue. So I stopped taking everything. So some of the things that I was experiencing while I was breastfeeding was that it was so stressful not knowing if Zara was getting enough milk, because she would get fussy sometimes, and I kind of figured out why she was doing that. And also, one thing that people don't know is that breastfed babies, they cluster feed their first like 2 weeks of life. So what that means is, if you never heard of that before, is that they like to eat more frequently throughout the day and night. It can be all day, or it could be just at night or just during the day. So that means they would eat maybe like every hour. And so Zara was eating like every hour. She would go to sleep for an hour and wake up and eat, go to sleep for an hour and wake up and eat. And that was what she was doing. So that caused my nipples to really hurt, to bleed, and that was another issue, the cracking, the bleeding. And also Zara wound up contracting thrush. If you never heard of thrush, it is a little yeast infection they get in their mouth. A lot of babies get it. Zoe didn't get it, and I guess because she was on formula, but Zara got it, and that happens when either the mom does, their nipples do crack or bleed or something like that, and it's just little patches in their, white patches in their mouth, and it's easy to treat. And so I had to treat her for that. And so my first like 2 weeks, I literally didn't get any sleep, and I was super tired all the time. I was grumpy, I just couldn't figure out, and I was crying. There were so many nights where I cried because I just did not understand what was wrong with Zara. I was so sad. Like, there were so many times where I was just like, I wanted to give up breastfeeding. I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just so hard. Like, I'm about to cry because I was just so stressed out, and Greg was just there supporting me, but I just didn't know what to do. Then the issue came where I started to try pumping. We went out of town when Zara was about 3 weeks, 2.5, close to 3 weeks, and I decided, okay, well, I want to start pumping on the way there. That way when I get there, I can do stuff and she can drink out of a bottle. So on the way to Houston, I started pumping, and I would feed Zara, then pump, feed Zara. So I pumped at least 4 times on the way there, and then I pumped a few times that next day. Well, all of a sudden, Zara poop went from the yellow mustard color it's supposed to be because she's breastfed to a green color. And at first it was dark green, which is fine, but then it got lime green, which was an issue. So I started freaking out again because I knew it was an issue, that something was wrong, and I researched that she had too much fore milk, which is the non-fatty milk. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? So all these issues were happening. This was all within 2 weeks. The fore milk issue, the bleeding and the cracking, the thrush, the not getting enough milk, the weight loss, the non-sleep. It was just, everything was coming at me, and I was just like, I was overwhelmed. So some ways I fixed the issues. With the thrush, obviously take her to the doctor. They gave me a prescription, and that was fine. With my nipples, it was only one nipple that was bleeding and cracking. So what I decided to do was I took my nipple balm, which I'll show you guys here. So after she would feed, which would make my nipples really sore, I would put her down to sleep. I would go into the bathroom, get a towel, and I would wet it on the hottest water I can possibly take and press that against my nipples. And I would do that several times. And then once that happened, I would pat them dry, and I would put the nipple balm, and I would do this every time after she feed. Also, after she eats, I would squeeze some of my milk out and rub that on my nipples. It helps to heal the bleeding and the cracking and the dryness. So I would do that and do the compresses and then do the nipple cream, and literally like maybe 2 days later, my nipples were fine. They were good. So I fixed that issue. The next issue was the weight gain issue. As I told you guys, I had to sub with formula, and then once my milk supply came in, because I was taking all those things, she was good. She was gaining weight, but she was still eating way more frequently because she wasn't getting enough fatty milk. So I had to stop taking all of those supplements because it was making me have too much milk. And what happens is, if you're producing a lot of milk, you can produce too much of the non-fat milk, or milk that doesn't have as much fat, which always comes out first in your breast, and then comes out the fattier milk. So because I was producing so much, she was drinking and getting full first off of the non-fat milk before she can even reach the fatty milk. So a way to fix that problem was to nurse them on one breast for I think it's called I basically called it like a shift. It's basically one breast, take one shift. So for 4 hours, that breast is the only breast she can get. So she got it, and so say she woke up 2 hours later, she gets it again. And then so from 4 to 8 o'clock p.m., she only gets the right breast. After 8 o'clock, 8 to 12, she gets the left. From 12 to 4, she gets the right. So that way she's consistently trying to empty out that breast, and she gets to the fatty milk. And also another way is to pump maybe 2 minutes before she eats, so you can get some of that lighter milk out and then feed her. And you can always store that lighter non-fatty milk in your freezer, and you can use that for when they eat cereal, like when they eat the baby cereal or baby food. You can use it later, so don't just, you know, toss it out. So that was some things I did to correct the problem. And once I started doing the shift thing where she was on one breast and then she moved to another breast 4 hours later, and I started seeing a dramatic difference in her poop. It started going back to dark green, and then I completely stopped pumping. I didn't pump for a while, and her poop went right back to yellow. So everything went back. Like before I did all of that, I did go to a breastfeeding class, which was offered free at my hospital that I had, Zara. You may want to check your hospital and see if they have free breastfeeding classes. And it was just moms there who have their baby at the same hospital and 2 lactation nurses. So what they do is they weigh your baby, you bring your baby in, you sign in. They weigh your baby to see how much your baby weighs before you feed her. And then you sit down, find a spot, get comfortable, get a nice pillow, and you breastfeed your baby there. Everybody is used to it. It's just mom and their boobs and their babies. And then they weigh your baby to see how much she's eaten to make sure she's getting enough milk. Throughout the whole process, because it's like about 2 hours long, they can help you figure out if you're latching on correctly, any questions you may have, any concerns. So I just got all my questions out the first day. They helped me. I even cried during the class. Like, I was crying because Zara started acting up. She was trying to eat, but she just got fussy, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So they gave me tips like maybe switch positions, switch boobs, do this, maybe just try to calm her down. Maybe she's not hungry, she just is tired. And that goes back to when she got really fussy when she was eating. She was just sleepy. She still does it now, where you may think she's hungry because she's sucking on her hand. So I would lay down to nurse her. 5-10 minutes in, she's just crying, hitting my boob, like holding it, scratching it, hitting it, and her eyes are closed and she's just so fussy. So that lets me know she's not hungry. Pick her up and I rock her, calm her down, and she's still sucking her hand, put her back on. If she gets fussy again, I take her, and then I finally put her to sleep. She's just sleepy. So I've learned different things. After the breastfeeding class, because it's only offered once a week, which is on Tuesday, I was still having some issues, especially once her poop changed to that weird green color. I decided to look up a lactation place, and one of the good things is if you go to a WIC office, they could recommend a place to go. And I live in Dallas, so there was the lactation place in Dallas, which is really, really nice. And you get a one-on-one consultation with the lactation consultant, and she sits down and she'll look at your nipples to see if, okay, your nipples are either infected or inflamed or something's wrong, and she'll watch you latch your baby on and then unlatch your baby to see if your nipple is inverted or whatever issues, and just answer questions if issues. And you can go any day of the week, okay? It's open any day of the week, I think, except for like Saturday and Sunday. So which was also helpful. Once I did that, girl, we became a pro. Me and Zara got this down. Another thing on how I was able to get through this process was I read a bunch of stuff. People tell you not to Google stuff, but for this, Google was my friend. I was able to narrow down issues like, oh, why is her poop green? I was able to narrow down like to this, this, and this. So I had 3 options. I figured it out, and I figured out which one was it. That helped me. Reading a lot on breastfeeding, newborns, breastfed newborns, everything you need to know. That was something I should have done before I had Zara, but I didn't think I was going to have these issues. Basically, to help a lot of these issues is just relax and realize that this is not going to last forever. Because laying in that bed for 2 weeks, I literally didn't do anything. I couldn't cook, I couldn't wash dishes, I couldn't clean. We had to hire someone to come clean. Greg was doing all the dishes, the food, everything for like 2 weeks because I couldn't physically and mentally do anything besides take care of Zara. And I was like, I can't do this, I'm going crazy. But I had to realize that this wasn't going to last forever. And now that she's like almost about to be 7 weeks, I realized that, wow, like it doesn't last forever. Eventually they sleep longer. Eventually they figure it out. You figure it out. Y'all get on the same page. And she knows, like, when she gets cranky that mommy's gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna keep crying until she gets it, and then we're good. Right now she's napping. She does take really good naps. I can take her out now. I can go to the store and get stuff done as long as I do it in the right way to where she's comfortable. So it doesn't last forever. Just relax, calm down, breathe, and try to work through it. And if all of those things are happening and you really can't figure it out, you go to the lactation place and they can't even help you afterwards. It may just be best just to switch them to formula, because sometimes your breast may not produce enough milk. Your nipples are, I think they call it inverted or something like that, where it's flat and you can't even breastfeed. It's different things that may lead to you not being able to breastfeed anyway, so it's good to always go and get checked. And the last thing I can say that helped me is surround yourself with people who support breastfeeding. You may think that's crazy, but there is a lot of people who do not. My mom, even though she didn't breastfeed none of us, she was very helpful. My cousin, she breastfed both of her sons, so it was good to talk to her. One of my friends, she has no kids, but she was always texting and making sure that was good. She also brought the tea. Greg is here. He supports it because it's his child, but he wanted the best for me. So he even told me, if you want to switch her to formula, that's totally up to you. Just my mother-in-law, all my family support that I'm around constantly support the breastfeeding. They support me. They understood. They were there to listen to when I had issues. Even my mom, she was a trooper. She's still, like, when I go to her house and have to breastfeed her, she holds Zara to make sure she's calm before I can get her, before I can feed her. And it was just really crazy. Just make sure you surround yourself with people who support what you're doing and support your baby, support you. And that's just the biggest thing, because you can do all those things right, but if people you have around you don't support what you're doing, if you go out and they're like, oh, you're breastfeeding your baby here, like, it will make you feel some type of way, because look, you ain't finna tell me how I'm gonna feed my baby, so we gonna fight. So it was funny, we went out to eat and Greg mom was like, come on Jackie, you gotta feed her, because they know, like, this is how my baby eats. And if anybody got anything to say, look here, titty out, cover on, we gonna fight, okay? Because I don't believe in telling the mom how to feed their child. So that's just one thing that I can say, is just surround yourself with supportive people for any circumstance you're going through. So one last thing before I go, if you're really having a hard time getting your baby to latch on because your baby is just not taking well to your nipple, try a nipple guard, a nipple shield, I think that's what it's called. I will take advantage of the services that's out there, like WIC. I tell people this all the time. I don't even know if you have to have WIC to go there, but I would even just sign up or try to sign up just to get the benefits of, like, having, because they have a lactation consultant. She may not be the best one that you come across, but just to get basic questions answered about breastfeeding is awesome. So that is my breastfeeding challenges and how I was able to fix those issues. I hope I helped some of you guys, or if you know someone who is about to have a baby who is breastfeeding and they're just miserable, you can refer them to this video or even leave some questions down below. I am open to answering questions, especially when it comes to breastfeeding and your baby and stuff. Put some questions down below and I'll try to help you out the best I can. I'm not professional, but I'm just here to help. And let me know what you guys think about this video down below and give it a thumbs up. And I can't wait to chat with you guys in my next video. Bye guys.